The Brooklyn Nets are absolutely loaded from top to bottom, and they might shock everyone this upcoming season. But who exactly do they have on their roster? And how good can they be collectively? To answer that, we first have to take a deep dive into every key impact player on their roster and break down their game. So let's start with their best player, Mikal Bridges. Bridges is coming off a great season, averaging 20 points, 4 rebounds, and 3 assists, while shooting 38% from 3. But the scary part is, after he was traded to Brooklyn mid-season, he averaged 26 points per game in the 27 games he played in a Nets uniform. That is all-star level production. He showed everyone he could be the #1 option. And let's not forget, he averaged 23 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists in the playoff series versus the 76ers. He also shot over 40% in that series. So that lets you know he isn't afraid of the moment. And that's really not that surprising, because he was a key reason the Suns made it to the finals a few seasons back. But just how does Bridges get his points? Well, for starters, he's transformed into a mid-range assassin, ranking near the top 25 in mid-range efficiency. I know you're probably thinking ranking near the top 25 isn't all that impressive, but that's until you again remember how different his role was in Phoenix compared to Brooklyn. In his last 15 games with the Nets, he was the 4th best mid-range scorer in the NBA, with only KD, Brandon Ingram, and DeMar DeRozan being better. So yeah, like I said, he transformed into a mid-range assassin. And as much as people want to talk about how important shooting the 3 is, all of the best scorers in the NBA prioritize the mid-range. Think Joel Embiid, Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, SGA, and Kawhi all focus on getting up shots in the mid-range. Even players like Kyrie Irving, De'Aaron Fox, and Jalen Brunson get a large amount of their points from there. And fun fact, Bridges' first bucket as a Net was a mid-range bucket he hit on PJ Tucker. With those long arms, he can get fantastic elevation and effortlessly get off any shot over any defender. He's also highly versatile as a mid-range scorer. Most players usually have one spot, but Bridges is hugely comfortable on either side of the elbow, from whatever range. But what truly makes Bridges an all-star caliber player is his three-point shooting. He shot 38% on the season, and as we mentioned earlier, he shot over 40% in the playoffs versus Philly. He is an elite mid-range scorer and three-point shooter, which is rare. Most elite mid-range scorers are average to below average shooters from deep. DeMar DeRozan shot 32% from 3, De'Aaron Fox shot 32% from 3 as well, and Devin Booker shot slightly over 34%. For the most part, the only elite players that can do both are Kevin Durant and Kawhi Leonard, both all-time great players and scorers. And I am definitely not saying that Bridges is on their level yet, but I am pointing out how special of a combination that is. But what really puts the icing on the cake for him as a player is his defense. Bridges has been one of the best lockdown defenders in the NBA since he stepped into the league. Even with his offensive role increasing, he still gives 100% on that end, which rubs off on the team. And speaking of team, Nick Claxton is almost the perfect center. That may sound like a stretch because he can't shoot jump shots, but he's an elite lob threat, screen, and roller. He's also very active on the boards, averaging 9 rebounds per game. He's extremely productive when he's in the paint. In fact, he led the NBA in field goal percentage with 70%. But Claxton isn't known for his offense, even though he was solid there. He's known for his incredible defense that almost won him Defensive Player of the Year. The 24-year-old averaged 2.5 blocks per game, which is insane. The Nets had the 15th best paint defense, and he was the main reason why. His ability to protect the rim and the paint is something that will make or break the team. But what really makes him a special defender is his versatility. He's one of the few centers in the NBA who can guard 1 through 5. He is without a doubt on the same level as Draymond, Anthony Davis, and Bam Adebayo. Then we got Cameron Johnson, who's the perfect player for his role. He's like a Kyle Kuzma. He can fit into any system due to his versatile skill set and overall size. Johnson averaged 15 points per game while being a sniper from deep, shooting 40% on 6 attempts. The Nets were ranked 5th in three-point percentage, so they are a dangerous threat from deep. Johnson was recently given a contract extension, and when asked about whether the money would change his approach to the game, he said this: "No, same approach. Just get better. Get better and still feel..." I think the main thing that I've always felt since I've been in the league is just to prove it every day, and work for it every day and improve every day. And I'll continue that mindset as long as I play. He definitely plays with that prove-it mindset. He hustles on both ends of the floor, and might just be on the verge of being labeled a 3-and-D player if he isn't already. On defense, he's extremely versatile, and can switch on just about anybody. He isn't a lockdown defender, but he's also far from being a defensive liability. However, someone who is a lockdown defender is Dorian Finney-Smith, the 6'9" wing who has been one of the most versatile defenders in the NBA for a while now. And the fact that he, Mikal Bridges, and Nick Claxton are all on the same team is scary. They were a top 15 defense in the last 15 games or so together, and now that they've built some chemistry, I'm honestly expecting them to be a top 5 defense. With Dorian Finney-Smith being such an excellent defensive stopper, this is going to allow Mikal Bridges to exert more of his energy on the offensive side and pick his spots defensively. And although he didn't shoot all that well from 3 this season, he has shot 39% from 3 over the previous 2 years. So history would tell you that he should be back around his usual efficiency from deep. And if he does, that'll make Brooklyn even more of a lethal shooting team. And now to cap off their starting lineup, we got to talk about their starting point guard, Spencer Dinwiddie. Spencer's in the last year of his contract, so the Nets have the decision to either give him an extension or trade him at the deadline. They will most likely give him an extension. Both sides have already shown interest in doing so. He's only 30 years old and he's going to turn 31 by the end of the year, and he's the perfect point guard for this team. Overall, they're a young team, but they've made it clear they are competing for a title and are not in rebuilding mode, even after trading away KD, Kyrie, and Harden in the past. Spencer is a great leader who has played with some of the best players in the NBA, especially during his time in Dallas with Luka Doncic, where he was looked at as the vocal leader in the locker room. And there's no other way to put it. The man can hoop. He averaged 17 points, 3 rebounds, and 6.5 assists per game, shooting 43% from the field, 37% from 3, and 81% from the free throw line. He can do it all offensively. He can run the offense or play off the ball. He's also coming off of his highest number of assists since 2017. Overall, he's just producing on all cylinders. If Brooklyn wants another successful playoff run, he will have to have another year like this one, or even better, which he's fully capable of pulling off. That is Brooklyn's starting lineup. They have it all: shooting, shot creation, defense, rim protection, grit, and hustle. But now we've got to talk about their also stacked bench, which is why they could emerge as one of the top teams in the East. I'm predicting they have a season like the Sacramento Kings did, exceeding expectations and giving the best teams in the league a run for their money. The first player off the bench is Dennis Smith Jr. Offensively, he's decent, averaging around 8 points, 3 rebounds, and 4.7 assists in 25 minutes per game. His biggest concern is his three-point shooting. He shot only 21% on 2 attempts per game. And with him not being a great shot creator, it's hard to see him making a big impact on this end of the court. He is solid in transition with that elite athleticism. In a half-court setting, he uses that speed and downhill athleticism to draw in the defense and make plays for others, which hints at the 4.7 assists. He will surely provide value offensively, but he is still in the NBA mostly due to his defense. He has completely changed as a defender. He went from being a below-average defender to a borderline elite one. This isn't a coincidence either. Smith said that he knew that if he wanted to get minutes, he had to play defense. He started studying defenders like Drew Holiday, Chris Paul, and Avery Bradley. It's paying off big time too. He averaged 1.4 steals per game, and his on-ball defense has been outstanding. He even had a possession where he locked up Steph Curry on a game-winning shot. Adding his defense with Bridges, Smith, and Claxton makes it insane. And while we're on the topic of defense, we have to talk about Ben Simmons. He is reportedly healthy and ready to go this upcoming season. The team is excited to have him back, especially Spencer Dinwiddie. He could completely change the complexion of our team and can make us a fascinating group, especially defensively. I think he's got it in him. I'm looking forward to seeing it this season. Yeah, the talent on the defensive end is ridiculous, and even though Simmons isn't the same defender he was in Philly, he's still a terrific, versatile defender who can guard 1 through 5 on most nights. On offense, we know he isn't going to shoot, but as long as he keeps being a good passer and secondary playmaker, it shouldn't be much of a concern for someone who will play around 20 to 25 minutes per game. Then you have Royce O'Neal, who's another good defender. Plus, he's a great three-point shooter, shooting 39% on 5.5 attempts last season. That's a lot of defense off the bench between Simmons, Smith Jr., and Royce O'Neal. But they also have 2 perfect shot creators in Cam Thomas and Lonnie Walker. These 2 players alone make the depth of the Nets considerable. We all know Cam Thomas is a professional scorer and can get buckets when called upon, and the same can be said for Walker, who's coming off the best season of his career. Lonnie and Thomas balance the roster, making them one of the best teams in the NBA. But what do you think? Do the Brooklyn Nets have what it takes to make it out of the first round this season? And do you believe Mikal Bridges will have a breakout all-star year? Let us know in the comments down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.